I'm Andrew Simpson, and in this video, we're going to continue on with our ERP Creator app for manufacturers series. Now, in this video, we're going to make a function that is going to allow your employees to clock in and clock out, as well as when they clock out, they're going to be able to enter in what they completed that day based on their work orders. In the next video after this one, we're going to be installing that button onto a page so that your employees can click it. This video is just the logic to have that button work the way we want it to. So without further ado, let me share my screen and let's jump into it. So I'm inside Zoho Creator, and what we're going to do is I'm going to create a new function. The new function is going to be used in the next video where there's going to be a button that's going to invoke this function. So I'm going to start by going to edit and going to the standalone functions. I'm going to create a new function. And this is going to be called employee clock system. And the return type is going to be a string, and this will be very important later on. Now, we don't actually need any arguments for this, and I'll explain why that is the case a little later. So how does this function work? Well, we want to do a couple things. We want to create a time log if the employee doesn't have one. And if they do have one that's already open, then we want to update that time log. And then we want to get the link to that time log to allow the employee to finish that out. So I'm going to start and I'm going to do this here. We're going to search for a time log for that employee without an end time. And then from there, if found, we update the end time, the time log, and the work order is completed today or still active for that employee. Then if it is found, or if it's not found, we're going to create a new time log for that employee. And then finally, we're going to return the URL. So if we find an open time log for that employee, we want to close out that time log. Then we want to generate a work log URL. Now, if you remember, I think from a couple of videos ago, we did some work with a work log URL. We want to have them fill that out for what they got done that day. And specifically, we're going to fill out the following fields: the work orders, the employee, the start and end time, and then a subform for all the products in the active work order. And then the employee will be able to say, hey, I completed XYZ products today, and that will be used in the future calculations. Now, the reason we don't necessarily need an input is because we can do something like this. And this will give us the employee record. And then from there, we can get a time log record. And this will search for all the time logs for this employee where there isn't an end time. So then if found, we want to do some stuff. So there we go. So if it's found, we do this. If it's not found, so else, we want to create a new time log. So I'm going to start down with this one at the bottom here because it is the easiest. So I'm going to import a add record. And that's all this is. It's an employee and then a start time, right? So now if someone clicks this a second time, it will go through this first time log here. So first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to add the end time to this time log. Then we want to generate a work log URL. So before we do that, I'm going to set the variable. So we have a blank string. So now that we have a blank string, we're going to want to generate a work log URL. Now, if I go into our Zoho, so this is the work log URL we want to use. And then we want to pre-fill some information, right? Such as the work order. So work order, start time, end time, and then subform. Now, the employees is the easiest one because we already have the employee record right here. Then we want to let's do the work orders next. Now, we don't actually have any work orders, so let's grab the work orders here. So work orders equals, and then we want the status for the work order. Because if they completed the work order, there's already that work log for them from the other video. So now that we have the work orders, we want to go like this. And that's the work order. And then we want the start time and end time. And the start time and end time we want to use is this right here, timelog.start time, and the end time is the current time. And that will cover all of these ones right here, but it won't cover the subform. So the question is, how exactly do we fill a subform? As it turns out, the subform cannot be populated from the URL. So we're going to need to make a secondary function that is on load of this URL. So finally, we want this URL, this output URL to be like this. And then we also want an output URL in here. And that output URL is going to be, I'm just going to put in this for right now because this will actually be modified in the next video because we're going to make the page. We're just going to redirect them back to the same page. So now when I run it, assuming there is an email address or there's an employee, which I'm going to check to see if I have an employee here. There we go. So it created a new time log, and I can go to the time logs here. So this is currently the time log I'm working on. And if I run it again, it would bring me to this page, which I'm just going to refresh this one first. So we've got the end time, but it would actually, in theory, it would redirect me to a page that looks like this. This employee does not have any work orders assigned to them right now. So the next thing we want to do here then is we actually want to have this page populate the work orders or the products based on the work order. Again, this employee doesn't have a work order, but I will. So now it's pre-populating. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it run on page load. I'm going to have a function run on page load that's going to grab the work order and put in the products down here. So I'm going to make a workflow for a completed work log. And we have this one that hides some fields on page load. We're just going to piggyback on top of this. And we're going to then populate this information. So if there's a work order, then we're going to get the work order. And then we're going to do similar to what we did before. We're going to make a collection, and then we're going to input rows. And there we go. So if the work order is not, if it's not empty, then we're going to grab the work order information. We're going to iterate through all the assembly line items, create a row using the products for each one. And then we're going to insert that into a row collection and put that into the assembled products, which is right here. So I'm going to click update and click done. And now when I refresh this or when I hit enter, it populates the products. So then this URL is going to be used when someone clocks out, where they could say, oh, you know what? I did 3 of them today. Done. So in the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to make a page for employees to clock in and clock out, as well as make the pop-up that will allow them to say, yes, this is what I completed today. I hope you found this video helpful. I'll see you in the next video.